Daf. Okay, we're at the bottom of Hamid Aleph, Megillah, Daf Hashavua. Amar Rabbi, the bottom line. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Lazar said, in the name of Rabbi Chanina, Rebbe Nata Netia B'Purim. Rebbe planted a planting on Purim. Rebbe planted a planting on Purim. We turn the Amid. V'rachatz b'krona shel tzipori b'shivas b'tamas. And that's one thing he did. And another thing he did was he bathed, v'rachatz, he bathed b'krona shel tzipori. Rashi explains the krona are the wagons, but b'krona shel tzipori means on the market day of Tzipori, when all the wagons came in, he bathed when people knew about it, before Hesya, that people knew about it, b'shiv asr b'tamuz, on Shiv Asr b'tamuz, because he wanted to make it clear that on Shiv Asr b'tamuz, it doesn't have the stringency of what? Of Tisha B'Av. Ubikesh la'akar Tisha B'Av, a third thing that he did was, he wanted to uproot Tisha B'Av. Tosis has a couple of questions on that. Of course, how could he think to uproot Tisha B'Av? It says, we said in Tainus that anyone that eats and drinks on Tisha B'Av is not going to see the consolation of Yerushalayim. And also we learned that Bezin can't uproot something that a previous Bezin did. So Tosis wants to learn that when it says he uprooted Tisha B'Av, it means he wanted to make it that it doesn't have this, it's the same, it doesn't have the stringencies over the other three big Tanesim. That's what he wanted to do, but not that he wanted to uproot it. Doesn't say a word about it. Makes you kind of wonder that maybe Rashi is learning the Gemara. I'm not sure. Then you would have Tosis questions. Okay, so that's the third thing that he did. Rabbi would wanted ubikesh la'akar Tisha B'Av v'lo hodulo, and the Chachamim did not agree to him. They left it as is. So this was Rabbi Lazar said this in the name of Rabbi Chanina. Comes along Rabbi Zavda. Amr l'fana Rabbi Zavda. Rabbi Zavda said to him, Rebbe, he said to Rabbi Lazar, Lo kach, the story wasn't like that with Rebbe. He didn't want to uproot Tisha B'Av. Chas v'shalom. Ela Tisha B'Av shechalios v'Shabbos hava. It was Tisha B'Av that fell out when? On Shabbos. V'dachinu lachar Shabbos. And we had pushed it off to after Shabbos. V'amar Rebbe, and Rebbe had said, Hol v'nidche yidche. He wanted to make it that once it's pushed off, we should just forget about it and push it off. And the Chachamim did not agree to him, so they didn't do it. This is why we brought this Gemara in, because we were just speaking about Tisha B'Av on Shabbos. The Kari Oleh, when Rabbi Lazar heard that he made such a mistake, Kari Oleh, he applied to him, to Rav Abba Bar Zavda, the pasuk in Koheles that says Tovim Hashnayim and Echad. It's always better two people than one, because here he had someone that told him that he was making a mistake. Ask the Gemara. On the first halacha that we said that Rebbe planted something on Purim, planting is malacha. So ask the Gemara, the Rebbe heichinata netia b'Purim. How could Rebbe have planted something on Purim? Vatani Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef learned in a brayso. Vatani Rabbi Yosef simcha umishte v'yantif. It says in the Megillah that Purim has simcha, happiness, mishte, a suda, a party, the yantif, and it's a yantif. And the brayso learns out that we learn out three things from this. Simcha, it has simcha, it's happiness. Malami, this teaches us shasur and behesped, that you're not allowed to make hesped and eulogies on Purim, because it needs to be a day of happiness. Mishteh teaches us, Malame, this teaches us sha'asr b'tainis, that you're not allowed to fast because you have to have a suda. The yamtif, and the words yamtif, Malame sha'asr b'asiyas malacha, it teaches us that since it's a yamtif, you can't do malacha. So therefore, how could Rebbe have planted a planting on Purim Ayitzi Yontif, says the Gemara, Ella, rather, Rebbe Bar Abeisar Avi. Rebbe was someone who lived in a city that had Purim on the 14th. When did he plant something? He planted it on what? On the 15th. Ask the Gemara, that can't be. Aini Bar Rebbe B'Tveria Avi. Rebbe lived in Tveria. Tveria is one of the cities that's Mukavas Chomer. Sometimes Yeshua ben Nun. So the Gemara says, okay, switch it around. Elo Rebbe Bar Chameisar Avi. Rebbe lived in a city that read it on the 15th. He lived in Tveria. When did he do a planting? Bar Beisar, it was on the 14th. Ask the Gemara a follow-up. Is it so obvious to you? Tferia is Mukavas Choma from the times of Yeshua ben Nun. Vachizkiya Kari B'Tferia. I'm sorry, Vachizkiya Kari B'Tferia Bar Beisar Chamesar. He read the Megillah in Tferia both on the 14th and the 15th because Misafkle, he wasn't sure. He wasn't sure if Tferia was in those was considered that or not. Ilo. And the Gemara will see why later, why he would have been not sure about that. Answers the Gemara, L'chizki Misafkle. You're right. Chizkiya wasn't sure. L'Rebbe Pshitale. Rebbe knew it was obvious to him that they read on the 15th, and therefore he did malacha on the 14th. Ask the Gemara another follow-up. V'chi Pshitale Mishari. Even if it was obvious to him that you read Megillah on the 15th, and he is it so obvious to him that you should still do malacha on the 14th, even though he's someone that reads on the 15th? It says, V'ksib Megillah's Tainus. It says in Megillah's Tainus, we learned in Masechus Tainus that there was a Megillah called Megillah's Tainus that would list all the days that we had small Yom Tovim. It was set up in the days of the second Beis Hamikdash, where we had smaller Yom Tovim, where some days you couldn't do Hesped, some days you couldn't fast. So it says over there, Megillah's Tainus, when it mentions the days of, it says that there's a day called Purim, and on Purim we have that's Yom Asar, that's Yom Chamisha Asar. It says you have the day of the 14th and the day of the 15th. Yom Puray Einon. These are the days of Purim, the low Lemispad that you shouldn't eulogize on those days. Now, why did Megillah's Tainus have to say that there was Purim on the 14th and the 15th? There's another document that already says that we have Purim on the 14th and the 15th. What's that document? Megillah. It's a different Megillah. Megillah's Esther. So therefore, so Rava explains, why did they have to say that in Megillah's Tainus? Lo nitzercha, it wasn't needed except to explain an additional halacha. What's that halacha? La'aser eshel zeh b'zeh v'eshel zeh b'zeh. Very interesting. That even if you keep Purim on the 14th, the Megillah's Tainus is teaching us not to do that. You have the same Yisurim on the 14th, and if you read the Megillah, if you keep Purim on the 14th, you have the same Yisurim on the 15th. So how could Rebbe, even if he was someone that lived in Tiberia and read on the 15th and knew that he wasn't on the 14th, how could he do malacha? Megillah's Tainus, it says that you still have to keep the 14th for these halachas, that you can't do malacha. Answers the Gemara, that was only Hani Mili Behespedu B'Tainus. It was only two halachas that Megillah's Tainus was applying to the 14th, if you read on the 15th, or for those that read on the 14th for the 5th for the other day. It was only Hespedu B'Tainus. Ava Malacha Yom Echad. But Malacha you only have to keep one day, and therefore Rebbe was what? Able to do Malacha. Malacha Yom Echad B'Sulo. Not anymore. Ask the Gemara, Eini, is that so? The Gemara is not giving up. Rav Chazia Lu Gabra. Rav, there was a story once upon a time. Rav Chazia Lu Gabra. Rav saw a certain person that he was what? He was planting a flax on Purim, Vilatye, and he cursed him. Vilot Samach Kisna, and his flax didn't grow. So you see that what? And the Gemara assumes it was on a different day. One that kept it on the 14th was planting on the 15th, or vice versa. I don't know why the Mefarshim don't know. Why are we assuming that? So the Gemara answers an obvious answer. And therefore the Gemara's kasha is, so you see that even in Malacha you have to keep the other day. If you're on the 14th, you have to keep everything on the 15th. If you're on the 15th, you have to keep everything on the 14th. Answers the Gemara, the obvious answer. Hasan bar Yumavi. There it was his day. Hasan bar Yumavi. And therefore that's why Rav cursed him. It's interesting to me that it's the Gemara had to say, and his flax didn't grow. You could have just said Rav cursed him, and we see it was wrong, but the Gemara sticks in, and his flax didn't grow. Told us the end of the story. Hasan bar Yumavi. Okay, very good. Says the Gemara further. Rabba berei the Rava Omar. Rabba the son of Rava gives another answer why Rebbe was planted on Purim, and he says, "Afilu tema." Stick in the box says, "Afilu tema bi." Even if, what was the first answer of the Gemara? That Rav's day is what? that Rebbe's day was the 15th, and therefore he did malacha on the 14th. Says Rabba Berei de Rav, Afilu Tema Biyome Havi. Even if it was today, let's say he did plant on the 15th. How is he able to do that? It says Mishta Simcha v'Yantif, and Yantif includes that you can't do malacha. Says the Gemara, Hesped v'Tainis Kabilu Alayu. When they answered Hesped and Tainis, that Klal Yisrael was makabel on them. Malacha lo Kabilu Alayu. They were never makabel malacha, and we have a great diak, says the Gemara. The Meikar Ksiv, you're right. It's at the beginning. The Megillah says Simchu Mishta v'Yantif. Ulbisof, but if you look later, Ksiv, when it says lasos usam, to do them, when it came out, and it only says Yemei Mishta v'Simcha. It only says Yemei Mishta v'Simcha. It doesn't say v'Yamtiv. V'Ilu Yamtiv, lo Ksiv. It doesn't say Yamtiv. So ask the Gemara, wait a minute, that's a great answer. So we have two answers. One is that it was the other day, and the second answer it was that day, but malach is mutter. Ask the Gemara, Vel Rav my time elatiye. So why did Rav curse the guy? Why did he curse him? Why did he curse him if you're allowed to do malacha? And lahu gaver to that person, says the Gemara, Dvar mamutar marachem nogu bo iser. Because really most of Klal Yisrael didn't accept it. But some people, some towns, some places were machmer on themselves to accept it. So therefore, it went into the category of Dvar mamutar, something that's mutar, v'acherum nogu bo hen iser. But that others accepted on themselves iser, Abba. Uba'asri de Rebbe lo nog. In the place of Rebbe, they didn't accept the Isser, so Rebbe was ever able to do Malacha. And therefore, in the place of Rav, they did. V'ba and I'll tell you another answer. That really what? Lolam Noeg. Maybe even in the place of Rebbe, who's accepted what? The Isser Malacha. Again, we have a couple of answers. The first answer the Gemara brought why Rebbe did a planting is because it was the other day. He planted on the 14th, he kept the 15th. The second answer the Gemara was what? That really, it was the right day, that it was the 15th. But what's the second answer of the Gemara? But we never accepted on ourselves Isser. The third answer of the Gemara is maybe we did accept it. Lolam Nog. Maybe we did. V'Rebbe Nitiyah Shel Simcha Nata. He was doing a Nitiyah Shel Simcha, a Nitiyah of happiness, Kiditnan, like we learned in a Mishnah in Tainis. Avru Elu, if certain fasts went by and we weren't answered for rain, V'lo Nenu, so we go to the next level. There's certain things we do to be able to show that we're trying to do tshuva, we're trying to be serious and ask Hashem to answer us for rain. So what do? Mematin b'masu matan. You should lessen in business, binyan, in building, u'menatiyah, and in planting. Be'erisin u'menasuin, and in getting married. So the Gemara says, Vatani Allah, and we explained that, and we learned on there, what do all these things mean? What are all these things? You should stop doing masumata, and binyan, etiyah, eretz, and zun. It says, binyan means binyan simcha, binyan a building of happiness. You don't have to stop doing building, but you have to do building of happiness. You have to stop. Netiyah shel, stop planting for happiness. Ezu binyan shel simcha. What does it mean when you build simcha? Zeh bona beis chas. This is when you build, there used to be a minog that for the first son getting married, they would build a house and have the chasen in the house. It's a nice deal he got. Ezi Nitiyah Shel Simcha, that's a binyan of Simcha. Ezi Nitiyah Shel Simcha, what's the growing for happiness? Zeh Notea Borniki Shel Malachim, they used to make canopy for the kings under a tree and lift up the branches, and the king would sit under and relax. So that was called a Nitiyah Shel Simcha, and that was the Nitiyah that Rebbe grew on Yontif, and that was mutter. Have a wonderful day.